match, it didn't really utilize many GX Pokemon in there because you didn't really need one. But the fact of the matter is, a bit like when we were kind of discussing the Heatmore deck, is that, why not run a GX Pokemon that has a GX attack that you can actually use? So in this case, we do have Tapu Fini GX in the deck, which is a great addition to the deck. That's if you have a Pokemon, say, for example, that is, very intimidating, like a Gardevoir GX, for example, it's got a lot of energy, you can just use its GX attack and shuffle that Pokemon straight back into the deck.
Yeah, absolutely. And, well, I mean, I'm not sure if it will be as useful against Sander because there isn't really much that he cares about investment-wise. Maybe it might spin back a Durant at some point.
Yes. But
there isn't really, it's not really for this deck, as it were.
Sure, absolutely. But in this case, I mean, he does have his Starmie line. So, for example, if there are energies that do go to the discard pile, he can recover them with that Starmie, which has a Space Beacon ability, which is certainly very crucial. I think what we could actually have here is we could have a series of paralysis going on, because let's not forget that Froakie has that bubble attack.
Yeah, he does, which of course for 1 water energy allows you to flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's Pokemon's paralyzed. Simple as. It's one of these very innocuous attacks that you think, does it actually make that much of a difference? But more often than not, it's actually optimal with Greninja to say, once you get your first Greninja out, doing, say, initial 60 or 80 with Moonlight Slash or a 40 with Shadow Stitching doesn't really help you that much. What helps you a lot more instead is retreating into a Froakie, doing Bubble, and then, because then if you get ahead, you buy yourself 1 more turn to guarantee yourself the Greninja break, and from then on you can really just power through your opponent.
Absolutely, yeah. It's such a good stall tactic to have within the deck, is that Bubble attack. As you say, while you're setting up your Greninjas and your Greninja breaks. But yeah, I mean, just looking through the deck, I'm just trying to think what... Oh, I was going to say, there's no Rough Seas anymore in the deck. We have Brooklet Hill.
Well, Rough Seas is rotated now.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
Way, of course. But Brooklet Hill's still a really great tool. Just allows you to search your deck for, in this case, a water Pokemon. I believe it lets you search for fighting Pokemon as well.
I think it does, yes.
Yeah.
Water and fighting Pokemon, basic Pokemon.
Yeah, but it lets you just bench one from your deck, essentially. So it's another way to make sure you have multiple Froakies out turn 1. One of the ways that deck can lose is, say, if there's only one Froakie on the field in turn 1 and then it just gets knocked out, then you can't evolve to Frogadier next turn and you're just going to have a sad time.
Sure, absolutely. And not forgetting that you can also search for your GX Pokemon as well, so you can go for your Tapu Fini GX if you would like to. He does have the... he has one Tapu Lele GX, of course, which is great for early game setups. But yeah, I mean, how do you think this matchup's going to play out? I'm really not sure what's going to happen here.
Well, I mean, we obviously did a lot of preparation before coming into this event, but I don't really think any of us could have expected this deck that Sanders piloting. Again, I'm not shocked that of all people it's him going for this. He's obviously gone for the stall tactics before and has seen a lot of success with it, and that he was able to sort of carry that on even now that Wailord is gone, piloting it, using different cards to achieve the same end is really, really impressive, and I cannot wait to see how this match ends up playing out.
Neither can I. And one factor, actually, I should point out here is that to use Greninja's ability, that does have to be in the active, Greninja Break's ability for the Giant Water Shurikens, that does have to be in the active spot to use it, which means that Xander has an opportunity to use Raichu and paralyze that Greninja Break.
Yeah, he does. The one unfortunate thing for Sander in this circumstance is that, unlike with Pokebowers and Pokebodies previously, or rather, I can't remember if it was both, but in any case, abilities aren't shut off by special conditions. Right. So even if Michael Long's Greninja Break is paralyzed, he will still be able to use Giant Water Shurikens and constantly rain down 6 damage counters on all of Sander's Pokemon. If he's able to recover enough energy, as you just said, with Starmie, with Space Beacon, and just make sure that he has constant Water Shurikens every single turn, that might be one of the ways that Michael Long can swing this matchup into his favour.
Absolutely, and I think a very, very significant point that we have here, actually. Xander is playing an interesting count of between 3 to 1. Well, he's got 4 Pikachus total, but 3 of them have 70 HP, and 1 of them has 60 HP. That is very significant, especially when Giant Water Shuriken is dealing 60 damage. Those Pikachus are going to survive a turn longer because of that.
Yeah, that could end up being absolutely vital. But, I mean, other than that, it looks like both players are ready to set up. They're ready to go. We're just going to wait for the timer to start so we can begin. I hope you're all excited at home, ready to kick off Day 2 of the Pokemon Trading Card Game European International Championships 2018. I'm excited. Jamie, are you excited?
I'm super excited. I'm even more excited now that this Heatmore deck is featuring. So there is the handshake. We are getting up and ready to go. Starts with the Tapu Fini GX, and as you can see, there is that Pikachu with the 70 HP, which I think will be extremely crucial. And you can see Michael Long is just reading reading it like Pikachu. Well, he must know what Xander is playing at this point. But there is the prize cam as well. Anything significant in there?
Let's see. It's like a couple of Sycamores, an Acerola, Field Blower, and then an Ultra Ball for Sander. No handiwork, importantly. And then on Michael Longside, who saw Field Blower, 2 Ultra Balls, 2 Ends, and a Water Energy. This 2 Ends might be quite annoying, actually, because one of the things you don't want to do against a deck which does aim to run you out of resources is help them by discarding a lot of things when you don't want to.
Absolutely. And, I mean, Pikachu does have the Thunder Wave attack. That can paralyze on a coin flip, of course, as well, for 1 single Lightning Energy. So, yeah, Michael is going first. He does have that, he's got his Brooklet Hill out, he's got his Froakie out, so he's just going through his deck now, and again, we are doing, he is allowed that little bit more time to look through his deck, just because, obviously, that is your deck search, so you can kind of, analyze what's prized. This is really, really crucial for Michael, just to make sure that he has, to check if all of his Frogadiers are in there, because that is a very vital point within his deck. Yeah,
and of course he will now know that there are no Frogadiers prized, no Staryu or Starmie prized either, more importantly. So although, as I did mention, the end is a bit annoying, those not being prized are far more vital, and he's going to be very happy about that.
Yeah, I think Michael's actually got some very good prizes, actually. He's not really missing anything that's, too worrying at this moment in time. But yeah, let's just see what he's just got off this he played... Was it N?
No, he played Sycamore.
Sycamore, right, you're right, yeah. I can see it in this card. Very full art, very holographic. So yeah, let's have a look, see what's in his hand. I mean, he's got the ideal start here, shall we say. He's got the 2 Froakies on the bench, so he's guaranteed, providing that he can get the Frogadier into hand, that he's got it. So let's see what Xander does here now, because I'm very interested to see, he's using Brooklet Hill.
Yeah. I would say one thing. I don't think that Michael was at too much risk of either of the Froakies being KO'd regardless. Not with this deck, the way there's pretty much no Pokemon that can do significant damage apart from maybe Tapu Lele. That is pretty much the only Pokemon that can actually reach high damage numbers in Sander's deck. But yeah, he's going to make use of that Brooklet Hill. Of course, one important thing to mention is that you can use, because the contents of the deck are always private, even if Sander knows there are no water or fighting Pokemon in his deck, he can still use that card to look through his deck and make sure that he knows what's prized.
Absolutely, and it's a great resource to have. Knowing what your opponent's playing and knowing the the things that you can do that your opponent plays as well. So just using that for more information. And again, Xander as well is probably looking for things like the Team Rocket's handiwork that we pointed out earlier, just to try and see, is that prize? Do I need to get things out of my prizes? Obviously, with that Gladion. But looking at his hand, he's got the Heatmore. Double Colors Energy. He can attack this turn, so he can, you can see Michael picking up Heatmore, Heatmore? Why you... Yeah, so, and he just passed his turn on that, so...
Yeah, so unable to retreat the Pikachu in the active, and meanwhile from Michael's side, it looks like there's going to be an Ultra Ball and an Evo Soda, so 2 Frogadiers going to be hitting the bench, evolving up from the Froakies now, and after that, it looks like it's going to be either Sycamore or an N. He's going to have to decide what he wants to go for. Is he going for Brooklet Hill? Oh no, he's just shuffling his deck after the 2 searches.
Sure. One problem that Michael has, unless I've missed something, he doesn't have an energy on the active Tapu Fini GX, which means he does need an energy on his Frogadier, which is on the bench. So he can't obviously attach 2 energy per turn with this deck. There is no kind of energy acceleration, I don't believe. So he won't be able to pull off that water duplicates this turn, unless there is something in his deck that I've missed. So he is acknowledging that, so he's retreated. Frogadier becomes active, but he... he's used the attack. Sorry, he has the Aqua Ring for 20 damage.
Yeah, just 20 damage allows you to switch to a bench Pokemon, and
absolutely.
I think that's exactly why Michael opted to evolve both of the Froakies, because he knew he wouldn't be able to water duplicates this turn. He instead was able to evolve 2 Froakies manually, and now it's still not ideal, but he was able to at least get 2 Frogadiers out.
Absolutely, yeah. And if he had the water duplicates, there would have been 2 more Frogadiers that would have hit the bench as well. But as you can see, that Raichu comes on Acerola. Wow, so that Raichu has paralyzed the Frogadier. He used Acerola to put it back into his hand. Heatmore going, so there's 1 heads. Is he re-rolling, or...?
I think they used the wrong coloured dice, or...
no, he's got 2 heads.
Oh, okay, I think he used one of the damage counter dice. I mean, it's still legal to roll because it's still translucent, but then he just asked for the other one to use the different one.
Sure. One thing we should point out here as well, not only does Heatmore have weakness to water-type Pokemon, which means that Michael does actually have the KO on this Heatmore, but... if that Raichu paralyzes a Pokemon on Michael's side, if he evolves that Pokemon will release itself off those stasis conditions.
Yeah, evolution always heals all special conditions, and that means that it's going to be a bit tricky for Sander in these early turns for him to really hurt Michael. Michael's going to make sure that every evolution heals a paralysis, and it's only really once Michael hits the Greninja break that the paralysis is going to have its maximum effectiveness.
You know what I was thinking, actually? So Heatmore actually does have 110 HP, which is can't be bumped up with things like Choice Band, but if Michael goes down the Shadow Stitching route, that would effectively lock down things, so he won't be able to get paralyzed by that Raichu. So he's going for the Sycamore.
Yeah, that would indeed be that might be the way he has to play to sort of win this, and especially considering, as you just said, is the Heatmore is weak to water, so that's going to be a way for him to sort of come back and make sure that he's able to just carry on what he wants to do.
So if he can keep constantly using Shadow Stitching, as you say, that might be his out in this game. If he can, so as you can see, he has got 80 damage on that Heatmore, and now Xander has a decision to make because he can't. Well, he can put down that Raichu, but that Raichu isn't going to be able to paralyze that Greninja. So what does he do from here? Obviously, he does have the Ace of Roller in hand, which is going to put up, to reverse the damage. But then at the same time, Michael can't really afford not to use Shadow Stitching. So this is where the Greninja break is really going to put in a lot of work here, because he will need to start using those Giant Water Shurikens in order to start getting KOs.
Yeah, but there's no reason why he won't be able to do that. And I feel that this is pretty much the strategy that Michael needs to go with. As long as he's able to carry on this constantly doing Shadow Stitching. And I don't really see a way for Sander to stop that either. That's the other thing. I mean, there's nothing in his deck that, now that the chain of it has started, there's really no reason for Michael to not announce Shadow Stitching, and Sander does not play anything like Pokemon Ranger, which could remove the effect of Shadow Stitching and now enable him to use abilities again.
Sure.
So, it's going to be a really, really bad time for Sander if he's not able to find an out to this.
Sure, and let's not forget that he does run 4 Field Blower to stop things like Garbodor, but Sander doesn't play Garbodor. This is the effect of an attack, which is what he's really struggling with here at the moment. He does play that one Ninja Boy. Let's see what he goes into. So I'll be very intrigued to see what he's going into here.
Ooh, he's going for Circuitry.
He's going for Circuitry. That might be a good play at this point. Keep in mind that I think that if I look closely, I'm pretty sure that Greninja has a Splash Energy on it.
So this is the way he can maybe sort of stop himself taking damage. The effect of the attack will still happen, unfortunately, but it'll mean that Michael will need to maybe do a Moonlight Slash at some point to take the Splash Energy off and then attach a basic Water Energy and do Shadow Stitching that way.
That might be his out here. Of course, it does remain does maintain that 40 damage because it does go with the Ninja Boy effect.
Michael's had to pick up and read every single card which Sander has put down.
It's not very often that you have to do that. Yeah, I mean, certainly, and why not? You have to kind of take as much information as you can game one, because you're going to have to play a best 2 out of 3 series here. So, take note, try and work out what everything is doing so you can kind of strategize much better for the second game.
Now, so Michael's opting to attach a Water Energy to the bench. Oh, okay, he does have a Greninja on the bench with 2 basic waters already on it, so actually it doesn't really hurt him that much. He just can retreat to the other one, and then he can already just do Shadow Stitching again. That's
sure.
That backup plan for Sander did not work out as planned.
Sure, and one thing that is, I guess, really useful for Greninja is that it does have free retreat. Once you get to the Greninja form, it's stage 2. It does have free retreat, which means that you can just kind of change between your Greninjas, and obviously use your Giant Water Shurikens. But yeah, it looks pretty tough for Xander at this point. I'm not sure what his best play is.
Yeah, I mean, Michael did opt to use the Moonlight Slash there, returning the Water Energy to hand instead of going for the Shadow Stitching. This is because there is no Pikachu on Xander's bench, so even though he's not able to, even though he is able to use abilities, he's not able to make use of Righteous ability anyway because he can't evolve from anything.
Absolutely, yeah. Very, very valid point there, actually, is that it does take a turn to evolve your Pokemon, so therefore, there's no kind of threat at this point. So, let's just see what they draw out. I think Michael will be looking for those Greninja breaks at this point because he does need to start, racking up that damage and eventually sweeping this game. So let's see what they draw from here. Xander does have those Puzzle of Times. I'm not too sure what he would get back with them at this point. Let's see what Xander does have the Break Form in hand. Michael, beg your pardon, does have the Break Form in hand. Those Splash Energy, I don't think is going to be that useful at this moment in time, though.
No, I think not. He's got to be very careful about attaching those because, if he's able to deal with the circuitry sooner rather than later, then absolutely fine because he can use Splash Energy all he wants. But as long as the circuitry is there, Splash Energy is essentially just blocking himself from being able to actually do anything useful. So no, the Ultra Ball from Sander looks like it's got a Puzzle of Time and a Float Stone. And is he going to be going for Pikachu here?
It's kind of tough to say. generally very intrigued to see what his game plan is at this point, because I really am not seeing anything that he can do at this moment in time. I think you do have to bench the Pikachu, because you do have to kind of make your opponent, second guess what you're going to do by forcing that Shadow Stitching. As you say, attacking 80 every turn with potentially a Giant Water Shuriken next turn is just going to be too much, and it's just going to overwhelm you. So at least having a Pikachu on the bench kind of forces you to, use Shadow Stitching a bit more, which I think is a good game plan here from Xander.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good game plan. It doesn't really win him the game, though, and that's the sort of issue he has. He has ways of prolonging the game, but I'm not really seeing Xander's win condition here, and I think Michael's really figured out the optimal way for Greninja to tackle this sort of really unorthodox strategy, shall we say, and that's really credit to Michael as a player, given that, and he's actually opted to not evolve into Greninja Break. That's really interesting.
Wow.
I think he might be doing this on the basis of maybe he doesn't know that Xander doesn't play Pokemon Ranger. Right. So maybe Xander just pulls out a Pokemon Ranger, paralyzes the Greninja Break, and then he will be absolutely stuck. And that would be a chain that he doesn't want to be caught in. So he wants to save the Greninja Break for when he absolutely has to. So in case that happens, he can evolve into Greninja Break, heal the paralysis, and then take the game from there.
Yeah, and at this point, Michael isn't really too worried about anything. I mean, can you see anything? So Michael has just knocked out that Xurkitree GX. So he does take 2 prizes. But I mean, what does Michael have to worry about at this point in time?
Thunder Wave.
Ooh.
That's what he has to worry about,
Wow.
I guess. And a Counter Catcher. Counter Catcher, as a new card, it allows you to, if you're behind on prizes, if your opponent has less prize cards left than you do, it is Guzma without the switch, Lysander on an item card. It is absolutely incredible.
It's an amazing card, and given the fact that Xander doesn't take any prizes, constantly has a use in this deck. As soon as you go down 1 or 2 prizes, you constantly have access to this Counter Catcher card, which is just so incredible.
Yeah, it's a really, really, really powerful, and putting it with a maximum effect there as he's able to bring out the Tapu Fini, and now we've got the Victini onto the bench as well, so he's got a very decent chance of being able to paralyze the Tapu Fini with the Thunder Wave, and this is the way that Xander actually gets back into this game.
Wow, it's really, really, I love watching these kind of stories play out in these matches where, like as you're saying, that Wailord deck where you just find ways of winning, when your back's really up against the wall, and you find ways like this of winning. So as you say, so Thunder Wave doesn't actually do any damage, so that, as long as he's flipping heads, that Tapu Fini is just going to stay there.
Yeah, so let's see, here comes a big coin flip. Is it a heads?
It is a heads, and it is paralyzed. So what does Michael have to get that Tapu Fini out of the active spots?
From the looks of his hand, not much of anything.
Wow.
He's looking through.
This is incredible that that Xander has found a way to get back into this game.
And Michael passes.
Wow, okay. And that Tapu Fini doesn't evolve either. Wow, okay, so...
There goes the ability, there goes the paralysis.
Full
and
credit to Xander for doing that. That's fantastic play.
Yeah, so starting with that Tapu Fini for Michael is going to come back to bite him, as now Xander, he's not...
We've just seen the second dice roll has just fallen a little off the camera. I think it's double heads at this point, so double puzzle of time. He's going to be recycling all of those cards in his discard pile.
This is absolutely... Now Xander is in control. He's able to break the Shadow Stitching chain. And now he's able to carry on his own chain of paralysis, because as long as Michael isn't able to find an out to switch this out, Xander can just keep going turn after turn, Devolution Spray, evolve, and is able to stop Michael from being able to stop him.
It's such a fantastic way that he's managed to...
Is Michael conceding?
Wow.
Michael doesn't have an out.
I think...
Michael concedes, and Xander takes game 1 in a tremendous comeback.
Do you know what? I am fully on board with this decision. I think Michael has made the optimum play here by conceding that game. He doesn't have an out, but the thing is, he started with that Tapu Fini GX. Yeah. He can't get it out of the active spot. If he starts with a Froakie or something else and doesn't bench that Tapu Fini GX, I think that Michael can certainly turn this around.
Yeah, and being worried about that situation, I think that is exactly why, as mentioned earlier, he didn't evolve into the Greninja Break, because if, say, something similar to that happened, and where Xander was able to work around the Shadow Stitching and in that situation, then how best to put this? Then at least if he has the ability to evolve into Greninja Break, that's another way of healing the paralysis.
Absolutely, to get out of the paralysis.
But instead, with the Fini out, wasn't able to do that, and Michael, not having no outs, or rather having no outs, just is forced to concede. Incredible.
It's amazing turn of events. We were sitting there from literally like 5 minutes ago, like thinking, what does Xander do? How does he get himself out of this situation? Everything he does is like null and void at this point. And then just like that, he finds in one move, just turns the game on its head and just amazing play.
Yeah, and I think we have to give credit to Michael as well for realizing that is an out that Sander had to his out, as it were, and trying to play around as much as he can. But Sander seeing the opportunity, exploiting it, and able to, as we've said so many times, just make that comeback where we thought originally Sander's just done for.
Right, and let's not forget that Michael doesn't play anything like Ace Eroda, but Ace Eroda would even still require 1 damage counter. That paralysis from Pikachu doesn't apply any damage on there.
And neither does the ability from Raichu, of course.
Absolutely. So there is literally, it's going to be very difficult. But, I mean, going into this game, he doesn't start with that Tapu Fini GX. So this is the issue now, is what can Xander do to follow up that fantastic, comeback on game 1?
I mean, if anyone can do it, I'm sure it's him. I'm sure you'll be able to find a way. And hold on, did Michael opt to go second, or did he just draw pass?
That's a very good, very good question. I'm not too sure. I think he must have opted to go second, because there is no way that. I'm assuming Xander would have looked at his hand and thought, I really don't know. That's a very good question. I don't think he doesn't play anything like Wally to get Frogadier out for turn 2. So, yeah, interesting. Very interesting. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Okay, so Michael did indeed. We've had confirmation draw past first turn. So wow, Xander opting to end there.
That was a big play then, I think. Okay, so let's see what he's got here.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, so there we go. There is the confirmation that we wanted. So yes, he's drawn past. He's got the Evo Soda, the energy, exactly what he needs, and he's going for the water duplicates here. As we can see in the price camp, there are no Frogadier's prize.
No, there's one.
Oh, there's one Frogadier prize, beg your pardon. There is one Frogadier prize, but still, that's not... that's more than enough in his deck. He's going to have 3 Frogadiers out, and will be able to get his Greninjas into play.
Yeah, it's absolutely not the end of the world. And I'm thinking that maybe Sander just didn't have another option. Maybe he just had to end because otherwise he wasn't doing anything himself, and he didn't want to sort of take the risk of Michael. Because what Michael could have been doing is maybe he was actually just drew past because he was holding onto a really strong hand of, say, Water Energy Frogadier, and he was trying to almost, bluff Sander into not playing an N. So Sander could have been thinking about that, but in any case, it's been done now,
sure.
And Michael's found the Water Energy and the Frogadier, is able to do water duplicates, and now back to Sander as he does bench that circuitry again.
Sure, very smart player Michael for not attaching that Water Energy on turn 1, because then he would have had option to go with Tapu Lele GX, which for the double colorless energy would have got the knockout. There is Greninja, so we are going down the Shadow Stitching route, I'm assuming. There is no Splash Energy on that Greninja, which means that he can do damage to that Circuitry GX. So yeah, this is the issue, that Xander has found an out to win game 1, but how is he going to do it game 2 without having things, as you say, without having that Tapu Fini GX on the bench? What is he going to do now?
Yeah, an interesting play from Michael. He did actually have multiple Greninjas in hand. He has one more, but he opted to leave that one Frogadier still on the bench, maybe thinking that Sander might go for that with later on with a counter catch, and thinking, oh, that's something I can employ my strategy with. But then Michael just having the Greninja ready in hand to again heal that paralysis.
Sure, I don't think Michael's really in a rush at this moment in time. I mean, there is, at the moment, there's over half an hour on the clock, which I think is more than enough time for Michael to at least get 2 games out of this. So that's why I was saying earlier that he does attach a Splash Energy to that Greninja, but I think that was the optimum play in Michael's position, was just to concede that game and say, look, I've got 2 games left and enough time.
Yeah, we're going back to Sander's side. We do see a Nespral here. As going to have a look through, finally be able to see what he actually has access to. Again, he's not prized anything too vital. That one puzzle at a time could be annoying, one heat more, but he has other ones to work with, so that's okay. And importantly, again, he's not prized Team Rocket's handiwork.
That is true. So he's going through his deck at the moment, just having a look, see what's in there, what's prized. So yeah, I think this is his first search in the deck, so that's why he's given more time. He's going for another Pikachu here, which is certainly, it certainly keeps Michael on his toes, because it means that if he doesn't use Shadow Stitching, he will hit the paralysis. Obviously, he can afford to not Shadow Stitching based on the fact that he can go into the break form, which would then get rid of the status conditions, which is why he's chosen not to play down that Greninja break. But, I mean, it's certainly, finding a way in this very difficult situation to... Oh, Acerola. Okay, so the Heatmore goes active. Circuitry is back down on the bench. Circuitry is active again. And, just past turn.
Yeah, what Sander's doing here is just buying himself some time. He's Acerola is able to pick up the Circuitry, put it back down. Michael just announces a very quick shadow stitching and puts it on 40 on the Circuitry. He knows that, I know you said he's not in not much of a rush, but he does realise that he is one game down and he's up against a deck which is very, very slow. So he's going to be wanting to announce his attacks as quickly as possible, actually.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a very, very valid point. Yeah, and you can see just shadow stitching.
Yeah.
Shadow stitching, yep. I mean, I'm just looking at Michael's hand. He's got double puzzle of time. There's nothing really in his discard pile.
No.
But he might be thinking about getting back that Acerola, I think, which is exactly what he's doing here. He's got the N and the Acerola. Can probably assume that he's going to play Acerola. He does play Acerola. Pick that Circuitry up, back into the active spot it goes. Yeah,
He's just buying himself more and more time. He wants to make sure that he has the time to build up all the resources he needs to be able to just do something to counteract this. It's really, probably the best game plan that Michael has to win against this sort of deck.
Sure, and from Michael's perspective, if he does put a load of cards into his hand, I don't think there's anything in there that forces discard from your opponent's hand. So he can just use N later game and put all those cards in his hand back into his deck, which would try and prevent him a little bit from decking out.
Yeah. And I just thinking through some more. I think that what Sander needs to do here is just at some point concede that he has to go for the paralysis attack, go for the Thunder Wave, hope he gets ahead. Michael will evolve and then heal it, and he'll probably go into the other Greninja and then attack with that, and then he needs to get another heads, that will evolve, and then essentially he needs to run Michael out of evolution out to paralysis. That's what needs to happen at this point.
Sure, absolutely. And Michael here, he's got a lot of cards to work with. He's going with N, putting cards back into his deck. I don't think he had any break forms in his hand. I'm not too sure.
He had one regular Greninja with no breaks.
Right, okay. So, it's a very interesting tactic from Michael's side, not evolving into those Greninja, where he's got a Frogadier on the bench, and, of course, not going to those break forms. Those Giant Waters could be quite useful at this point, but Michael is just worried that paralysis is just going to come back and leave him stuck in the active again.
Yeah, absolutely. There's pretty much... is too much of a risk to just go aggressive and go for the prizes when he knows that what he really should be scared of is being paralyzed to the point where he just can't actually do anything. And Michael, realizing that quite well, is able to pick up his first two prizes by knocking out that Circuitry. And now play's going to pass back to Sander as he's just going to have to think about what he wants to do next. There's a Nest Ball, so he's able to find himself, looks to be Victini from that, so he'll be able to have a second chance as long as he gets a double colourless and uses the Odor Sleeve, have a second chance of getting multiple heads on that.
Sure, and he wasn't able to get that out before because obviously he did have the 5 Pokemon on the bench. He has freed up a spot because that Circuitry GX did get knocked out, so now he has, he's going for the paralysis with Pikachu.
Yeah, there's the other Pikachu, the 60 HP one, he's going to go for the Nuzzle.
So, wow. So, I mean, if this is a difference between having that... it's a heads.
Yeah, it is heads.
So, that Greninja is paralyzed. So, this is the difference between having those 60 HP Greninjas... 60 HP Pikachus to the 70. If he uses a Giant Water Shuriken now, he can knock out that Pikachu, and that is one prize. So, will he choose to go down that route, or... Yeah, he is using Giant Water to knock out that Pikachu, which is really crucial at this moment in time. Will he choose to retreat and go into another Greninja on the bench?
I think he has to, because if he doesn't, then again, if Sander's able to get a Thunder Wave heads and paralyze a Greninja, Michael's in the exact same spot he is in Game 1.
Sure. I'm just thinking at this moment in time, is there anything that Xander can do to lock down the paralysis? Is he literally just forcing him to evolve as many Pokemon as he can just so he can lock down the paralysis?
I think that's exactly what's happening, Jamie, and right now Michael's just making sure that he doesn't, as I say, go overly aggressive, and that he does have the means, as many means as possible rather, of curing paralysis if he does succumb to it.
Absolutely, and that's one of the benefits that these evolution decks do have, is that you can, when you do evolve, you get rid of... Is he just debating whether he's gone for the Greninja? That's the third Greninja he has now. He won't have access... Actually, did he take... I think he took the Frogadier from the prizes.
Yes, he did.
So he has one more access to getting out another Greninja, should he want to. He does have the Froakie in hand. At this point, you're not really going to be using Giant Water... Water Duplicate, should I say. So there is... he's chosen not to bench the Froakie. Xander, what does he do now?
Yeah.
I think he just literally goes. He has used Shadow Stitching, which means he won't have access to using Raichu, but he can, if he chooses to, go down the Pikachu route again and try. Yeah, he's using Acerola to pick up that Heat more. Pikachu goes into the active, and let's not forget that actually turns off. So he won't have the reflip from Victini either, should he want to, but he's going for the Heat more, which kind of makes a bit more sense, I think.
It's interesting. One strategy he could have actually employed, he has a Rescue Stretcher in his hand. He could have gone for a Rescue Stretcher on the Nuzzle Pikachu, put that back in the active and actually try and go for another Nuzzle Flip. The important thing to remember in terms of the difference is both of these Pikachus have a Paralysis attack, but the Nuzzle Pikachu's attack only costs 1 Colorless, whereas the Thunder Wave Pikachu's attack costs 1 Lightning. So Sander needs to find one of his 2 Rainbow Energies if he wants to use the Paralysis attack on the 70 HP Pikachu, whereas the 60 HP one is a bit more versatile.
Absolutely. It's a very, very good point there. So, but the great thing is this Heatmore isn't getting knocked out because, he can get knocked out, but at this moment in time, 80 damage isn't a knockout on Heatmore because it does have 110 HP, which means he can keep using Acerola. Obviously, if he uses the Moonlight Slash, that would knock it out, but, he is worried about getting paralyzed and then obviously stuck in the active spot again.
Yeah. There won't be any Acerola coming in on this turn, though. We have just seen Sander go for the Skylar, actually grabbing a Sycamore, so obviously not a huge amount to work with in his hand right now. Going to want to refresh, and I imagine he'll probably want to try and dig for some of those Rainbow Energies at this point.
Absolutely. I think that Heatmore is now going to be knocked out with Shadow Stitching. That leaves Michael down to 2 prizes, which means that he's very, very close to winning this game. Ultra Ball, so what is his search at this moment in time? What does he go for in the deck? Maybe... Michael still has a... Yeah, of course. Yeah, that would make sense. But Michael still has... looks like he has a lot of resources within his deck. His deck doesn't look like it's thinning anytime soon. So, going for this deck out kind of tactic at this moment in time doesn't really seem like it's a viable strategy. And there's still enough time on the clock for Michael to rack up another win after this game, should it end relatively soon.
Yeah. What Sander wants to do, I think, is wait till there's a point where Michael is down to 1 prize left, end him, try to paralyze him, and then hope that Michael doesn't have an out, essentially. Maybe then he can, use some of these cards like Team Rocket's Handiwork to get rid of any extra evolutions and just keep on that paralysis slot for the rest of the game. There's the Sycamore. The Rescue Stretcher for the Nuzzle Pikachu happens first, going down there. There's 7 cards of Sycamore. What does he find?
Does he find anything? He's got De-Evolution, he's got Raichu.
He's got the Rainbow Energy.
He has got the Rainbow Energy in there. That's big. It's really big.
Yeah, it is really big. So up comes that Thunder Wave Pikachu. The Rainbow Energy gets attached. Now, the one annoying thing about the Rainbow Energy is that now it is only 1 more Shuriken away from being KO'd. There's a Field Blower as well, discarding the Bricklet Hill and the Choice Band. It's going to be a big flip. He's showing he's got the Evolution and the Water Energy.
Yeah, okay.
But apparently it doesn't actually mean he wins.
Right, let's have a look. So let's just play it out. So Michael will pass on to his turn. He has the... so he's got the Giant Water, which does knock out... Yeah,
there it is.
Right, so he had... because that Rainbow Energy put 1 damage counter onto the Pikachu, that meant that it put it down to 60 HP, which had the Giant Water Shuriken, knocked out that Pikachu, and then he just sweeped up the last prize with Moonlight.
An important thing to note as well, you did notice that Sander only did 1 flip. Of course, we must remember that Shadow Stitching was negating the ability of the Victini to allow Sander to reflip, so that 1 flip was actually crucial. Getting the tails there meant that it essentially was all over.
Absolutely, yeah. So
even though the break meant it didn't matter anyway.
But yeah, I mean, it's I still think this tie is in Michael's favour. I believe it's in Michael's favour. But it's incredible to see how Xander has produced, at least to get 1 game out of this. Now Michael will be hoping to himself, please don't start with something like a Froakie. Don't start with the Tapu Fini GX. Even Staryu could be a problem if he starts with a Staryu. And he does run Tapu Lele GX as well. I don't think he would be able to retreat out of that also. So he's really, really hoping. He does run 4 Froakie, so he's hoping for a Froakie start here. If he doesn't get that, that is Xander's out to winning the game.
It might just come down to what basic gets flipped over in the active at the beginning of this game 3. He is more likely to start Froakie. He runs 4 Froakies and 3 non-Froakie basics in the form of the Staryu, the Tapu Lele, and the Tapu Fini. So it could actually all just come down to this. Right. And also whether Sander is able to see the resources he needs to make use of that bad start. Absolutely. If Michael were to get it.
let's go straight into Xander's hand. Oh, so double mulligan. So no players either on both sides have basic Pokemon into the hand. They shuffle them back into the deck and redraw. Obviously, the benefits of that is if your opponent does have a mulligan, then you get to draw one prize. But because both players had a mulligan, that meant that no players will draw additional cards from their deck.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
it's going to be.
It's going to be tense. It's going to be tense to say the least. Let's have a look. This is really what it comes down to. I think is looking at Xander's hand. What does he have? Let's try and get into a glimpse of his hand to see what he has to open up with.
It's another mulligan. But what did Michael start with? Oh, I didn't see.
So okay. Let's have a look at his prizes. There's one Greninja in there, and if I'm thinking that Greninja is somewhere near the top, which means that players will normally drop prizes from the bottom upwards. So that means he probably won't have access to that Greninja throughout the course of this game.
Yeah, but although 3 Greninja is more than enough to carry him through, so I don't think that's really too much of an issue. And I just really want to know what Michael started with.
Me too. I'm literally on the edge of my seat, trying to, just like, come on, Xander, come on. I want to see what he has. But yeah, so he's going for. What does Xander have in his case?
Another
double right
mulligan.
He's got another mulligan?
He has.
Wow. So Xander will have the option here of drawing an additional 2 more cards, I think. This is the third mulligan.
Michael will have the option of drawing more cards.
Beg your pardon.
Yeah.
Michael will have the option of drawing 2 more cards. This is Xander's third mulligan, but given that Michael had no basics the first game, or the first attempt, this will give him an additional 2 cards should he wish to draw them.
And, I mean, if you're Michael at this point, or rather, if you're Xander at this point, you got to be thinking, just don't flip over a Froakie. Don't flip over a Froakie.
And I'm looking at, Michael looks all smiles at this point. I mean, your poker face could be a big deal in playing Pokemon, trying to second guess your opponent. But he looks, pretty content, I think. So he does have a basic this time. He has a basic Pokemon. That Victini has gone into the active spot.
So down get the prizes. Again, nothing too annoying surprise from Xander's side. Just one puzzle at a time. The one Lele could be annoying if his hand isn't working much with him in his strategy.
Is it a Froakie?
It is a Froakie.
It is a Froakie. Oh, Michael must be breathing a sigh of relief there that he's got a Froakie to start with.
That's why he was all smiles.
Exactly, yeah. You can see. So Xander is going first. Which means that Michael won't have access to, evolving his Froakie on turn 1. He will have to wait an additional turn. But yeah. So, going for an N, Victini active. Let's see what he draws here.
Yeah, he's got an Ultra Ball and an S-Ball. He has a Counter Catch and a Pikachu.
In there, so
it's a really good draw, actually.
That Pikachu goes straight onto the bench. Nest Ball for another search. Yep. What is in Michael's hand? I think I saw a Splash Energy. A Water Energy, I think. I think there's Sycamore, Ultra Ball.
And a Froakie, yeah.
Right, so he's got some resources to work with. He's not in a situation where he can't, maneuver his way out of it. So now it's going to be very interesting to see how does Xander go around this? How does he find a way of winning this game?
I think, again, it will come down to what didn't happen last game. Xander got close, but not quite close enough in terms of running Michael out of evolution, out to paralysis. So he just needs to employ that strategy again. And the one thing that's kind of a bit of a problem for him right now is that the time is running a little bit low. It's not as bad as perhaps it could be considering how slowly the deck normally wins, but 17 minutes on the clock might be just, a little bit not enough to actually pull through to the win. As you see, and Michael just
is giving Xander a taste of his own medicine there. He's paralyzed that Victini. Again, no damage counters on that Victini, so he can't use Acerola to pick up that Victini, which would get something in the active spot. But yeah, it's... Xander is, you can see the pace he's playing it. I don't think he even cut Xander's deck when he gave him the opportunity to. Literally attach an energy and just use Bubble straight right off the bat. Yeah. Again, does have 2 Froakies in place, so on the off chance, should he go double colorless Tapu Lele to knock out that Froakie, he will have a backup 1 to evolve into Frogadier. Yeah.
Of course, Michael doesn't know that the Xander's 1 Lele is in his prizes anyway, so he can't go for that, but that wouldn't be a guarantee. And actually, that 1 Tapu Lele being prized is huge because Xander does not have a Draw Spotter in his hand.
Oh, wow. He does, but he does have the Frogadier, the Ultra Ball, which is going to give him. He's not going to go for that Tapu Lele. So there is no way that Michael will bench that Tapu Lele to get a supporter, because as soon as he does, that is Xander's out to winning the game.
No, I mean from Sander's side. Sander doesn't have any draw supporter out, and his one Lele is prized.
Sure.
Look, his hand is just one puzzle at a time on counter catcher.
Okay, he has no. Oh, in his hand. Sorry.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Sorry, I thought you meant in Michael's hands.
No.
Wow. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, because with the one Lele prize right now, because I imagine that Sander was looking for his one Lele with that Ultra Ball so he can get back into the game, but instead he's going to be forced to draw pass for a couple of turns, unless this draw is really good.
Oh, he's got double puzzle of time.
Okay.
Although he did, so that's pretty big. He did actually have the one puzzle in time in hand from last turn. If he'd played that, he could have rearranged the top 3 cards of his deck and potentially tried to draw into something. That might be in and out, but he's chosen to use a double puzzle of time, which is certainly got him out of this situation now. So now he does have access to getting a draw supporter like an N, for example.
Yeah, and he also was able to get back his Nest Ball, which he uses to grab himself a third Pikachu, the 60 HP one with that colorless energy attack cost nuzzle paralysis attack, and after that playing the N, just hoping to sort of get some more stuff to help him find his way.
Mm-hmm. So going for the N, let's have a look to see what he's going to go with here. I guess to try. I mean, obviously he has to establish his paralysis lock, but in doing so, I mean, does he have a Greninja? Did he get a Greninja in hand? Does he have access to it? He has an Evo Soda in hand, so that's going to give him access to the Greninja. Xander is looking through his hand. He passed his turn, and if Michael can get a KO on this Victini, that could be pretty big, because he has a Rescue Stretcher in hand anyway, but I mean that would stop him from reflipping all those coins to try and establish things like the locks with the paralysis attacks, and of course the Heatmore as well.
I mean, the one thing is that if Michael's using Shadow Stitching, then the Victini's ability won't work regardless. But if Michael does decide to not attack with Shadow Stitching for some reason, which we did see happen in Game 1, then that could end up being relevant.
Absolutely. So let's see what they draw here. So he's got a break in hand, which means he does have access to getting out of that paralysis should he need to. What will he do here? And he's, he must be cautious about time here at this point. He must be thinking to himself, time is running out. I do need to start, taking prizes quickly, because he hasn't taken a single prize yet in this game. So.
And again, I think he's having that internal debate. Is it worth going for the evolution now, or do I wait? And he's decided to hold fire, just happy, content with the one Greninja in the active. Sander promotes for Pikachu. He does draw for his turn. He does have the Rainbow Energy ready, so he can go for that initial Thunder Wave, try to paralyze this Greninja and stop Michael from being able to carry on.
Sure, yeah. It's as you can see, Michael putting on the damage counter, the blue one, which is the signal for the damage counters. The red one is predominantly used for flipping things, like, as you can see, this paralysis lock that Xander is going for. Will he hit it? And, yeah. Okay.
Thunder Wave is Tails.
Okay, so, yeah, it is a tail, so it doesn't pull off this time. If it did, Xander does have the break in hand anyway, so he would be able to get out of that. But, yeah... It's really tricky at this moment in time. He's going for Shadow Stitching again.
He has to.
Sure. But he doesn't do anything else. Let's have a look.
So at this point, if you're Sander, you probably just try to go for the Thunder Wave again. You just want to try and... you want to really make sure that you at least force Michael to use the Greninja break, because if Michael to continually able to attack with the Greninja and you're not even forcing him to use his outs, you're not even going to run him out of resources quickly enough to actually establish the sort of more permanent paralysis lock that you need to win the game. And going for a Skylar there, it looks like I'm not really sure what he's really looking for. There's no, although Counter Catcher is live now for Sander, he would be able to use that to bring something up. There's nothing worth bringing up, because everything that Michael has can evolve and get out of that paralysis lock anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's very tricky from Xander's side what he does here. He's going for the Gladion here. He doesn't have any... His Team Rocket's handiwork is in the deck, so what is he going for?
I'd imagine he's probably going for his second puzzle of time.
Right.
Or rather, his fourth puzzle of time. He's been through two already. He wants to make sure that he can use the double puzzle again.
Absolutely, yeah. That might be a very solid play at this point. It's... as you say, at this point, it's literally just a case of, trying to establish as many evolutions as you can onto the on Michael's side of the board, so he can eventually get that paralysis lock. But as long as Michael is holding back at this moment in time, he's not able to do that. He does have breaks and more Greninjas to come.
Another Tails from
paralysis.
Sander.
There's a Tails again.
That is absolutely not what he wants to see. Michael afforded another turn of not having to evolve, and yeah, it's a very unfortunate turn for Sander. One thing I think would be important to mention, actually, we said that he may be using Gladion to grab the other puzzle at a time. His third one actually is already in his hand. So if he were to use Gladion to grab that, and he will be aware that it is prized, that means he'll have the double puzzle ready to go.
Sure, and very smart play from Xander, thinking ahead of the game, trying to get one step ahead. When that Pikachu hits the discard, then he will have access to the Rainbow Energy, should he want to get it back. And of course, all of his draw supporters as well. Xander here just putting down the choice band, which doesn't really do too much at this point.
But there's a Shadow Stitching, knocking out the Pikachu at last, and going to be a decision here for Sander as to what to bring up. Looks like he's going to actually go for the Heatmore here.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a good play at this point. There is a Raichu in hand. There is the Gladion.
So the prize is going to be picked up. He's going to have a look, see what's there. And
what does he want?
As you can see from our prize cam, there are no prizes currently visible. But we'll get to see where this Gladion gets put back. So the prizes will get shuffled.
Yeah, so that Gladion is going back into the...
Do you want to cut the prizes? Oh, that's pretty funny. And looks like the Gladion actually goes to the top right corner, so that's actually a pretty good place for it to be. But that Tapu Lele is still at the top left as well.
Still at the top left, it hasn't moved. So yeah, he does have the puzzle time in hand now, so he has access to whatever he really wants in his discard pile, which is great. He hits two heads.
Probably would have rather those two heads been for
the paralysis before, yeah. So yeah, I mean, there is a lot of luck involved. Obviously, when you are flipping coins, that's where the Victini comes in, but obviously, when you have Shadow Stitching, it does become a little more difficult.
Yeah. And now I believe Sander has either, I can't remember if his third puzzle got end away, but I believe it hasn't. So he has 4 puzzles to time in his hand.
Wow.
So he can recover a lot if he wants to.
Sure. What does he go for though?
Well,
I think he's just going for the Rainbow Energy and the Acerola.
Yeah, so
that makes sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Be able to deny Michael another prize and simultaneously try and carry on this stream of attempting to paralyze with, sadly, right now, not much success. But here it is. The Pikachu goes to the active, and then the Heatmore goes back down. I imagine Rainbow Energy will be attached, and we will be seeing another Thunder Wave.
Mm-hmm.
But will it be successful this time?
Right, and let's not forget that Pikachu is going to be taking 10 damage from the Rainbow Energy, which means that will be in Giant Water Shuriken range for if Michael decides to go down that route. I don't think he will at this stage of the game, but that could certainly be significant.
Yeah, there's playing an Ultra Ball as well, discarding a Ninja Boy and a Field Blower. Not going to be much use to him right now. Going to grab himself another Pikachu off of that, and it's just all comes down to paralysis flips at this point. Can Sander paralyze Michael enough times to see this game through, or will he not be able to do that?
I've seen very few decks in the Pokemon trading card game that actually utilizes just full out Pikachu.
Yeah.
Just keep going, Pikachu, which is fantastic.
Oh,
to see.
another Tails!
Oh, and Xander is just, when it really matters the most is when it comes down to those paralysis flips, and Xander has just, he's
just not playing heads.
Exactly, and what must Xander be thinking at this moment in time?
I think
he's just just go again. You got to keep trying to establish that lock. I mean, Xander will get out of it, but then you have access to bring up that Greninja break and trying to, establish that lock again.
I think Sander's actually considering if it's worth using his other 2 puzzles in his hand to recover the Acerola and something else and just preserve that Rainbow Energy again. It looks like, he is going to go for the 2 puzzles at a time. And one of them will be the Acerola. What will the other card be, though? Oh, it's his another puzzle.
Right. Okay. This is the tricky thing at the moment is, from what I can see from the perspective of this game, is that even if Sander does establish the lock, I don't believe it will have enough time to finish up this game. So it will most likely for him be the best. The best outcome will be a tie, and it's a Tails.
Oh my goodness!
There is 3 Tails on the trot there.
It's 4 actually if you count the ones from earlier.
Yep. I mean, what could you say? But, at this point, Michael is certainly playing for the win. That's what he is going for at this moment in time. Xander, I don't believe, can win this game. I think the best that he can do is tie. But going in Xander does have going in his favor is that he doesn't have any GX or EX Pokemon.
And
there is
fifth
another
Tails in a row.
Tails. You've seen it here on stream. Another Tails. So, yeah. There goes Heatmore. What can he do from here?
At this point, he just has to use the Heatmore's attack. Use Odor Sleuth and try and get back the Rainbow Energy and maybe something else. Maybe he can get some heads here.
Just a little off screen. What is...
Oh, I didn't actually see what we'll see how many cards he actually puts back.
Right. So we didn't see what he got, but he's got... There's one card, so we know he's got one...
one heads.
One head. So... And Xander just straight away doesn't even, flinch, just shadow stitching, and that's it.
Yeah, and we was able to get that puzzle of time back, which means that, again, he does have access to the double puzzle, I imagine. One of them will be for the Rainbow Energy. In fact, it's probably going to be Rainbow Energy Acerolo again.
I would imagine so, yes. So that just seems like the optimum play at this point. Denying Michael from taking prizes at this moment in time. So, yes, that can be the... Okay, you can see the Acerolo is on the top of the discard pile. That goes down, and now he's debating the second card. The Rainbow Energy goes to the top of the discard pile. Is he going to go... Yes, he does go for the Rainbow Energy. So that's the two cards that he will be taking out. Will be going into what we look like Acerolo for the Heatmore and Rainbow Energy back onto the Pikachu.
Yeah, so there's the Acerolo, healing off Heatmore, denying Michael the prize there. Pikachu gets promoted. Heatmore gets rebenched. The Rainbow Energy will be attached. Oh, actually, he's going to mention Durant. I think this might be one of his ways he can maybe try and actually win on time if he's able to eventually establish a Paralysis Rock. But
he's going for it again.
Will it be 6 in a row?
I'm nervous for him, to be honest.
It is 6 in a row!
Oh.
Sander.
Right, so there's Giant Water. There is a KO on the bench Pikachu with the Giant Water. He's going to retreat. I think Xander might have it. How much... Durant has...
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
No matter what he promotes, Michael will be able to KO it. So then Moonlight Slash will finish it off, and Michael Long will take down the Rogue.